Part of what we can point to is the Riverfront Crossings Park development. So there were really three major components of our flood recovery effort, and we've already touched on two of them. One was the buyouts and so on, having to do with those two neighborhoods located near the river. A second had to do with the Gateway project and elevating Dubuque Street and building that new bridge. A third had to do with moving our north wastewater treatment plant, tearing it down, moving all that sewage treatment capacity farther south to our south wastewater treatment plant. So that involved demolition and then building new capacity farther south. Once we tore the north wastewater treatment plant down, then we had an opportunity to do something with the vacant land. We got a lot of help from EPA in terms of preparing possible plans for what to do there. EPA being the Environmental Protection Administration. And eventually we came up with plans for Riverfront Crossings Park, which would be part of what we call the Riverfront Crossings District, which is really the area south from downtown with the river on the west side, Gilbert Street on the right, and Highway 6 on the south. That whole area of Riverfront Crossings District was an area we thought could be redeveloped in a significant way. This aesthetic focal point of which would be this new Riverfront Crossings Park. So the park now, we've done 3 phases of the development of that park. We're going to have a grand opening for it sometime late in the spring or early in the summer. And then there's at least one more phase to come after that. It involves bike trails. It involves using the land that the wastewater treatment plant used to be located on as a place for floodwater retention, so that when Ralston Creek overfloods its banks, some of that water can be retained in the wetland that we created down there and in an oxbow that we built that's part of that wetland. But when it's drier, people can use it for all sorts of just standard park purposes. So there's some really lovely new child-oriented playground facilities, a lot of bike trails down there, a little bridge that goes across the river and connects to, what's the name of the very popular beer spot down there?
Oh, Big Grove.
Thank you, Big Grove Brewery, which is a really popular place. So, yeah, that whole ensemble, Riverfront Crossings District with Riverfront Crossings Park located within it, together have really expanded the ability of the city to attract investment, and a lot of investment has gone into that area already.
Yeah, and we created in an area that we knew would flood, and where we needed to have capacity for excess waters coming through a tributary creek, an outdoor space with a beautiful view that could also serve as a flood mitigation area. And we created the Iowa City equivalent of an oceanfront view for the private property that sat behind that. And what we're seeing up and down that stretch on the private side, the privately owned side of it, in from the river, is substantial and ongoing reinvestment in residential, office, commercial. They've got a great view now and an amenity right along the river that also doubles as a flood mitigation zone. I would also say, more generally speaking, that when you bring infrastructure and streets up out of harm's way in terms of flood events, you maintain the flow of traffic, you maintain the commercial viability of areas that need to be accessed from other places. And so you keep those businesses running, you keep the university running, and you're not shutting down. Also, as you protect your infrastructure as a municipality, whether it's protecting wellheads or storm sewers or electrical substations, you name it, the more you can do to protect, the less you have to do during and after a flood to shift them, relocate them, whatever. And the fewer emergency responder resources you have to deploy. So it's not just an economic impact on the private side, it's also just a matter of saving time and money and precious resources for the local government.